everybody, welcome to Pockets Full of Soup, the storytelling show. I'm your host, Jared Petty, and I'm happy to be joined today by a loving couple, newlywed, brought together in the bonds of bliss, Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. How do you guys prefer it?
Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs.?
We're staying traditional, all right? Don't worry. She already did this thing where she took her last name as her middle name, so it's so confusing because everybody thinks it's going to be hyphenated, which is confusing.
So it's not hyphenated, it's last name, middle name?
Yeah, it's last name, middle name.
So you're a Miller?
Technically, yeah. Well, I haven't done the official name change yet.
Okay.
Like we signed it on the wedding papers, but I haven't started
Gone through the process.
Yeah, the full administrative
So
process.
on the paper, what'd you write?
It's right now it's Geneviève St-Onge Miller.
Okay. Oh, what's the last name?
St-Onge.
St-Onge.
Oh, it sounds lovely.
I know, that's why I don't want to get rid of it.
I wouldn't want to get rid of it either.
Yeah.
Miller.
It was too late. She got rid of it. She's Jen Miller now.
She's
It's
Jen
over.
Miller now. Yeah.
Jen Miller. Greg and Jen Miller. That's it.
There, yeah. That's Greg and Jen Miller, as opposed to again your
Geneviève
former name and
St-Onge.
maiden name.
Geneviève St-Onge.
Oh, that's way better. Why did you marry him?
Because he's hilarious.
Oh, I bet. Is that the chief criterion?
No.
No.
That's not the only reason. My
That's
humor.
not the only reason.
You're
My good
beautiful.
looks. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you guys have made googly eyes at each other back and forth across the airwaves. I mean, this relationship has not been something that really happened behind closed doors. The nature of you guys' lives, you live very public-facing lives. And so your romance has kind of, at least parts of it, opened up to an entire world of people. And that's not something that I think many human beings experience. And I'd love to know what that was like for both of you.
I mean, for me, it's something I did very normally. It's very integrated in my regular life, even before I met him. So just talking about everything and anything. I mean, beyond work, of course, that's kind of always off limits. But
Okay.
I always was kind of a public person, and you were way more than I was.
Sure.
But
I
yeah.
know 9/10 of the reason we're together is because it was just great for social media.
Oh, is that what
You
it
know
is?
I mean?
Okay.
It gave me content. It gave me some content to do, talk about. I got
So
things
this
to
is
talk
a
about
long
on the podcast.
By the way, who are you? We got her name. I have no idea who you are.
I'm Greg Miller. How are you?
Okay, yeah.
I'm returning to Pockets Full of Soup.
You
Very
are
excited.
returning to the Pockets Full of Soup. You hosted, or you were the guest, pardon me, on our debut episode,
Very first
our
episode.
premiere.
Right.
Thanks to you, I have a show.
No, you had the show before. You booked me after the fact.
Well,
You know
yeah,
what
but
I mean?
I had a show, but no one was watching it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah,
sure,
so
sure,
thank
sure,
you for
sure.
that.
No
I appreciate
problem.
it. You
How you
along
doing?
with some other kind friends made that happen.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
It
it.
continues this day.
but
I mean, that's
yes.
part of the way I wooed her.
That was how you wooed her?
Yeah, that's actually
Whoa,
the first
whoa.
video. So the biggest scandal about my relationship and how I met him is I knew who he was, but I would never watched Beyond or Up at Noon or Kind of Funny, like my coworker.
Like most of the people who follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
So why did you know him? Where'd you know him from then?
I knew him because of the industry, because we have so many mutual friends.
Okay.
And I knew who Greg Miller was, but I had solely a work perspective on him. Like
So tall, loud man.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Tall, loud American. And so the first video I ever watched of him was on your show. And that was just in the week we started texting. And I remember finishing the show and then picking up my phone and calling him.
You woke me up.
I was
You
hiding.
called him after watching the show?
I was hiding in the cloakroom at work, and I'm like, I just finished
You're
this
crying?
thing, and I was crying, and I'm like, you're the most beautiful human being I've ever seen.
I
And, yeah.
did not know this.
I was
Like,
like,
this
this-
is new. This is not feigned. I just found this out. You called Greg after watching
Yeah.
the video on our show?
Yeah. So
my gosh.
kind of, I guess, thanks to you, you really, I mean, it's the first exposure I had on, I mean, I knew a couple items of his personal life,
Sure.
but
Well, this
I
was
got
such a
the
great
full-
shortcut on my
Yeah.
Pockets Full of Soup because, like, you know, the cancer story is in depth and there's a lot to it.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
a
was
sad
like, hey,
story.
this is like something that's very personal to me, and it's one of the best ways I've told it. I think.
Okay, so you're at home and you get your phone rings. And
I'm asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Phone
French
rings.
Canadian lady on
Right.
the other end of the phone.
Yeah.
Calling you. You are French Canadian, right?
Yes,
Okay, so
correct.
French Canadian lady on the other end of the phone that you have met before, or
No, we were.
No?
So yeah. At this point, we had already started dating. This is
Okay.
after the first date. No.
No, it's before. We hadn't.
Really? That doesn't make sense.
No,
I don't
I-
believe that for a second. You wouldn't
yeah.
have told me that.
Okay,
I'm
so-
not getting. So Jared,
I'm just going to choose to believe her.
that's fine.
Okay.
You might remember Jared. Well, because no, don't worry. You don't have to choose. I'm gonna get there in 1 second.
Oh, you're gonna get the date of
If
the
you
video.
remember, Jared, when we finished Pockets Full of Soup, and that was the first episode. I had no idea what it was. We finished the first episode. and when the beginning of it, like, can I say two people? You're like, no, it can only be one person. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was gonna say Jen, because I was like, something's going on here and it's special, but it's super early. And I remember at the end of the day, you're like, all right, great. And he's like, so how are you doing? Are you seeing anybody? I'm like, yeah, I am seeing somebody.
Right.
And you said, do I know her? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not talking about it yet.
That's right. You wouldn't say her name and just said you were seeing somebody.
Exactly. And the reason being, of course, is because I felt like it was going too well. It was one of those things that was going, this is going to blow up my face. This isn't going to work out. You know what I mean? Like, it's all where I'm riding on such a great streak right now with her that clearly this is going to blow up my face and it'll never work out.
We both have the same feeling, honestly.
At that point, you just thought this is doomed, like there.
Well, it's just you never see something go so well. There's always something that's going to go wrong. And when I first started talking with him or texting, I'm like, psh, if it doesn't work out, we're going to be great friends. At the end of the day, we have the same sense of humor. We have the same friends. It can only end okay.
Yeah.
But he's probably the most busy man out there. And so my expectations were not super high of him sticking with me.
But
he did.
Turned out him sticking with that. What about you sticking with him? What did you like about this guy?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, real quick here, again, just to make my point, because this is what marriage is about.
Is being right.
To be right. No, I just wanted you to know. When was our first date?
July 12th.
All right. And now back to my point of when I didn't want to talk to you about it because I was afraid of ruining a good thing. I knew she was so special, but was always ready for the other shoe to drop that I took screen caps of our text messages when we first started dating because they were so sweet and no one's ever talked to me or loved me this way. You know what I mean? Even though we weren't saying I love yet. On August 2nd.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
after waking me up, you sent me a message at 8:41 in the morning that was, oh my God, baby, you're making me tear up at work. You are such a beautiful, amazing human being, and I want to hold you so tight. I am legitimately blown away by you, and it continues to go on like this. And this is the whole
I think
thing.
I'm a little in love right now.
Yeah,
That's
right.
So kind. Yeah. You guys have talked on. Okay, you have the kind of funny mega network out there. That
content.
Content.
This is all
and
for
you guys
content.
have talked a lot about your relationship there. So I don't want to retread too much ground that you guys have been over already. But at the same time, Pockets Full of Soup show about grounded positivity.
And a different show too.
Yeah, and a different show and the stories that make us who we are. But you've talked so much about beauty. Part of grounded positivity is what disgusts you about one another. I'm just curious.
Disgusts?
Yeah, what's gross? What's gross about this guy?
About me.
Yeah, what's gross about Greg? What's disgusting? You love him so much, and part of love is loving people despite what drives you crazy about them.
Gross about you?
Is there anything that's just like, oh my gosh, that drives me nuts? What about Greg?
Go for it. What do you got? You got
Does he have
something?
unfortunate
Go for it.
body hair?
Go for it.
Does-
Oh yeah, but
No.
everybody knows that.
No, you're fine. I've seen one.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what's gross? I mean, the sneezing thing is adorable.
Okay.
I'm still not sick of it.
What is the sneezing thing?
He sneezes a minimum of 4 times every time.
I'm a multiple loud sneezer.
You're a multiple sneezer.
Yeah,
I'm also a multiple sneezer.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar affliction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where does that come
You get
from?
real loud with it. It comes from my mom's side.
yeah,
My mom
I mean,
sneezes the
just-
exact same way as I do.
Yeah, and there's a cadence between them. Like
Yep.
they're all the same like timing between each one.
Yep.
I don't know where that
Yeah,
comes from.
100%.
Yeah, it's got a weird thing. My dad sneezes in the sunlight. It's strange. Like if my dad's
Oh,
in,
he's
like
one of
really
those guys. If
strong
he
sunlight,
looks at the sun, it'll
he
happen.
starts sneezing. Yeah, it's really
I've
strange.
heard of those people.
But what's? I mean, I know Greg. I know there are many disgusting things about him. I just
Exactly.
wonder the ones you want to point out.
Oh, what disgusting things? I don't. Maybe it's. I don't know. No,
It's so cute.
Oh, you got something. You got something. Stop tiptoeing. Plow right through it. What is it?
It's nothing. Like you make me a better person in anything
Aw.
we do. We just moved in together, and everything has been so great, and everything he does makes me want to get better because right now I'm just on vacation and I'm literally not doing anything, and he's working super hard, and it makes me self-conscious about not doing anything, like guilty a little bit, so I keep working more and more and more, except today. I didn't do anything today.
Sure.
Is he workaholic?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she though.
But I am too, so
right, too.
we're
So
fine.
Granted, she's unemployed right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
Government's
must
in the
be.
way of that
What's
one.
it like being an unemployed workaholic?
It is so weird and eerie, but it's only been 2 weeks and a half, 3 weeks almost.
No, yeah, almost 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Sure.
3 weeks tomorrow.
Okay.
So I still feel like I'm on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
but I constantly look at my personal email as if it was my professional email. Like I'm really refreshing everything at least 20 times a day, and I feel like I have work that's coming.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So it is out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's always at the back of my mind, and I mean I have things in mind for the future, but it's weird.
What about you, Miller? About this wonderful human being that you've chosen to spend the
What
rest of your life
disgusts
with?
me about
Well,
Geneviève St-Onge Miller?
Yeah,
Oh,
or at
no.
least drives you crazy. Disgust.
No, I mean that's the thing is it's a cop-out answer, but there really isn't anything, which is that thing I think that I knew it was something special. You know what I mean? Because there's, you have people in your lives and you're like, well, this is great. And, like there was no like, this, you know what I mean? And living together even like I've always said that, one of the reasons I knew it was different and why I knew this is how it was going to end up anyway was the fact that she gave me perspective. You know what I mean? And the fact that she could stop me from being a workaholic. And she could have said, like, I'm never going to be able to move to San Francisco. You need to move to Montreal. And I would have said, okay. And we would have done that immediately. But it is that thing of like, no, nothing drives me crazy about her. I don't think anything's disgusting about her.
I
knew we had something incredibly special.
Yeah.
When I think one of the first times she ever spent the night or whatever, we had to have the conversation of like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. She's like, are you gonna go caca? I'm like, that means poop to you, right? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah. Like, don't listen. She's like, I'll put on some music. I'm like, all right, fine. And then like that's been the theme of our relationship. Everywhere we go, like you go to these hotels with these like tiny ass doors. She's like, I'm gonna go caca. You need to listen. So I'm like, all right, cool.
So you haven't listened to something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some background on my my poop life.
Yeah. What's your poop life all
In
about?
my family, it's a running joke. I'm always talking about pooping. Like I'm that person in the family.
You're the poop person.
I'm the poop person. I'm always calling out my family members when they go to the bathroom or like, are you gonna poop?
You just doing this to cause them to be self-conscious and afraid, or are you just genuinely curious?
It kind of loosens up the
mood.
Pardon the metaphor.
Yeah.
And I'm always telling anybody when I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay. Well, my favorite is when we're out at like a nice restaurant or a party or with our friends or whatever, and she'll just come up all sexy into my ears, be like, I just caca.
How often does this happen?
She cacas a lot. Yeah, so do I.
So this is a scatologically humorous relationship.
Oh yeah, totally, and that's the thing.
See, I've been married for almost 16 years.
Yeah.
I still can't even think about my spouse pooping.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I can't do it. I have a poop problem. Like I'm
really?
terrified of poop. Yeah, like if I see human feces, my general response is to like vomit.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm really bad about that. So wow.
We haven't gotten to the point where I'm calling him in to look at it.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
No, we're not going to do that.
No.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you said we haven't gotten to the point.
I mean,
is that a relationship
it's
goal?
really humongous. I don't think I would.
There we go. Pockets full of soup. The story about the poop you love.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah.
But
that was a big thing for me because I'm always self-conscious about my pooping.
Are you
know what I mean?
self-conscious about your poop?
Yeah, totally. Because it's one of those I always talk about, you know what I mean? If for as loud as I am vocally, I am that loud anally.
Okay.
If I'm pooping or if I'm farting, like there's that thing where one time she was like, oh, you were in there. And she started laughing. I'm like, what? And we left her and we did something else. She's like, oh, you farted. And then I'm like, no, I didn't. She's like, I'm like, that was my phone. And she's like, oh, no, you farted. I'm like, honey, trust me. If I ever fart, you are going to hear it. You're going to know.
I deserve this for using the word disgusting in an early question.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect us to go to butt stuff. Yeah. That was not where I thought this was going to go.
Never a dull moment with the Millers.
Not at all. Definitely not. Wow, the Millers. Is that just... Is for both of you, is that odd or is it wonderful?
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, today she went to order some stuff off Amazon.
You saw it?
Yeah, she went to order some off Amazon. It's our first Amazon order at the new place. And then she's like, "Oh, you have the credit card. It has the security code. You need to go enter." And I was like, "All right, cool." So when I jumped in there and like the shipping address is just the Millers, and it's like, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So what is now? I mean, this has been a long time coming. A long time coming together. Obviously, you guys have seen it coming for a while. I mean,
it was pretty immediate.
Yeah.
Like we started dating, we knew. It's one of those things where, and this is coming from a profound relationship skeptic. I never thought that type of relationship existed. My parents have been together for 30 years, 31 accordingly to my dad, but they were still arguing about that. My mom says the first year didn't count.
that's it. Can you expound on that?
I mean, I don't know yet what happened in that year.
Wow.
I'm not sure I want to know.
And they're not married.
No, they're not married.
But that first year doesn't count.
Yeah, apparently.
That's fascinating. There's a story there.
Yeah, I'm going to dig into that.
Oh my goodness.
My mom is great at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
She hid from us for 29 years that she hated eating fish.
She just would eat it anyway, or would she just
She
like
would
pretend
feed
to eat
it
it?
to us
She would
and
cook it?
eat it and cook it. And then 2 years ago in the summer barbecue, she's like, man, I really hate fish. And we're
Wow.
like, hold up.
Dark family secrets. So with the two of you, what are your family secrets? What is your fish story?
What are we gonna hide from our kids?
Yeah.
Each other?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I know.
We're not gonna tell your kids about.
What are we not going to tell our kids?
Yeah, what are you going to tell your kids about? What do you want to?
Well, what do I not want to tell the audience about?
Well, that's a
funny.
you guys are again, it's an interesting pickle. There are very few human beings that are so publicly facing.
Sure.
So you already filter your stories through your audience. You're extremely transparent human beings.
Yeah.
But you've already decided what parts of your life you're going to share with your community, with your friends here. So I guess I do kind of put you in a difficult spot with that.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing, right? There was a big idea, like there was a strong and long conversation between us of like, when were we going to talk about dating, right? Because that we didn't do that right away. You know what I mean? Like when we started that first date and leading up to it and stuff, we weren't tweeting about it, talking about it. Right. It was like you were here on a press tour and you weren't telling the people you were with, your devs and stuff.
Yeah, because I was working and that was like, oh.
Yeah, and then plus it's weird because the industry is so small, right?
Yeah.
So if we're going to try something and jump into something, do we really want to say something and then fizzles out a month later?
Exactly. No, you made a wonderful decision. How did you reach that consensus that it was time?
I think it was Chicago, and it was the fact that I had this whole plan, Jared, of how I was going to say I love you on this trip.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
why don't you tell this I love you story? I'd love to hear it. Why don't you tell us the plan?
So leading into the trip, again, like we had our first date. You know what I mean? We had this lovely week together or whatever before she went back to Montreal, and we were texting nonstop and stuff. And this is after, again, not to tread water. I told the day before our first date, I texted Tim. I'm like, I want to marry Jen. Like, I've been texting this girl nonstop. She left, and I just broke down. Like when she went back to Montreal, and this is after we didn't want to be in a long-term relationship or a long-distance relationship because we'd been in a long-distance relationship. And then she landed, and we were in a long-distance relationship, just texting nonstop.
Yeah.
Not
so you immediately break the rule.
Oh, well, exactly. We couldn't get away from it.
There was no way not to. We couldn't not talk to each other. You know what I mean? That's what this is. That's how natural this relationship is. And so leading into it, we're having just text conversations nonstop, and you're having those conversations of I can't believe this is going so well, and what is this, and do you feel this? And yeah, of course. Oh my god, blah blah blah. And there was a thing where she said something effective like, I'm just so worried that you're going to tell me one day that it was all a joke and you don't like me.
Oh wow.
Because he was like this great public figure. I'm like, there has to be something wrong. He's probably dating 15 other women at the same time.
15 other women at the same time?
He was not.
Not that kind of guy. I don't have that much energy. I'm tired right now.
12 of the most.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, there you go. 12 of the most.
So coming into Chicago, the plan was for me, we were meeting in Chicago because it was in between us. We have this lovely weekend on the lake, and then the Monday where we go to the airport, share a cab, and when I get to my terminal, get out and say, and by the way, you're right, I don't like you, I love you, and shut the door and walk in and feel like a badass, and not give her the chance to say, whoa, you're moving too fast. Just this real romantic movie bullshit moment.
Okay.
And so instead what happened is we met at the airport. We got in a cab. We got to the hotel. We went up to our room, shut the door. She walked in front of me, and then basically turns around and just goes, I love you. Oh! And I'm like, no, you can't do that. I had a plan. God damn it.
Usurped you.
She fucking tricked me and got there first.
So what was that like? Why'd you decide to do it?
I'm so bad at
secrets.
Secrets. I can't physically lie.
Oh.
So you'll see it in my face. If I try to surprise him with something, I can't. I need to tell him.
She is the person that literally is, I got you a surprise. I'm like, oh, cool. What is it? She's like, I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell. It's going to be there in 4 days. You're going to be so excited. I'm like, what is it? Eventually she'll break down.
I get too excited. I'm a very excitable person. Yep. And so I'm like, oh, you're going to be so happy. I got to tell you. And then I ruin it.
That's so adorable.
So I'm really bad at one. I'm so much better now. But everything that is kind of relationship not boundaries, but like rules. Mm-hmm. And so I went on a date with this guy and I walk into this hotel room for the second weekend of dates planned.
Oh, me, I'm the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You.
Just making sure I understood who you're talking about. I thought you were going somewhere with the story.
Right here.
No, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's happening. But I knew that on the first date. And I walked in, I'm like, oh, it's gotta come out. I'm so clumsy with words. Whatever. I love you. And so, yeah.
So I want to ask you something. I've had fun bouncing around with silly stuff, but there's something wonderful here that I do want to talk about. You guys have talked several times here and other places. You've used the word natural about your love. Or something that just seems to have just been there, almost like it existed before and you found it.
Yeah.
Can you describe what that is, what the quality of that love is, how that came to be, what is it about that makes it so distinctive? How did you become aware of it? But if you could describe it, what is it like?
I think the best example I always give anyone is none of it ever seemed crazy. Like everything we did, even though we started dating and fell in love immediately and planned all those massive life changes immediately. None of them ever seems crazy. When we went to try engagement rings for the first time, we were both like, all right, let's do this. And we had no idea what was happening. Yeah, there was none yet.
Yeah,
What's happening?
I was just looking there. I was like, okay.
But we went in and we were so confused at everything, but we still did it. And then we walked out and we went to Olive Garden.
Okay, the fact that it ends with Olive Garden.
She had never been. Like on our first date, she was like,
that's right.
she's like, I've never been to an Olive Garden. I really want to go. And I'm like, no, you do not. No,
I
you do not
regretted
really
it.
want to go to the Olive Garden. She's like, no, I do.
I still need to go to Red Lobster.
You don't. That's what I keep telling you.
Red Lobster's got the cheese biscuits.
Yeah. Well, and that's the argument, right? Of like, well, Olive Garden's got endless soup and salad and breadsticks. And like,
I don't know. I trade it. So we had this IGN lunch club, and we'd go every now and then together to chain restaurants like Olive Garden.
I love that. I want
Red
to do
Lobster.
that.
Oh, we should do that again.
I went to
right?
Taco Bell for the first time last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's interesting. What did you think of Taco Bell?
It was great. I loved it.
That's right, because you don't have Taco Bell in Canada.
We have one outside of Montreal.
One outside of Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I was driving on my way to PAX East, hence the Boston T-shirt.
Hence the Boston shirt. Okay.
Which was not planned for. Okay. But
just for this story, I wore this
Just for this story, I wore this shirt.
I knew I could
the
get the
Taco Bell
conversation
story. I
to
knew it
it.
was coming up.
But no, we were driving down. It's a 6-hour drive from Montreal, and I had to stop. I had to do it.
And so it was okay?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I
What'd you
loved
order?
it. Back then it was a chalupa, and then not the tacos that are also Doritos.
My wife was from a town in Kentucky that was so small. A Taco Bell opened when she was in, I think, middle school or high school.
Yeah.
And the town was so small and had so few places to eat that the highway outside the Taco Bell eventually had to be closed because it was collapsing from the
Jesus.
cars lined up
God.
day and night to get into the Taco Bell. The road hadn't been built to handle that kind of stress, and it was literally falling apart.
That's
they had
crazy.
to close the road and repair it so that people could go to the Taco Bell.
That was the thing. I remember my sophomore year when I moved back to Columbia for Mizzou, hence the T-shirt. My friends who were from small towns were like, we were all moving this house and like, all right, cool. And like, hey, we're all going out to dinner. Come on, it's gonna be great. Blah, blah, blah. There's this new place. I'm like, all right, where are we going? They're like, Chili's. They opened a Chili's in the Walmart parking lot. And I was like, what the? I'm like, okay. Like, I come from Chicago. There's Chili's. I throw a rock. I had a Chili's.
Yeah.
We got there. Cars everywhere. Lines at the door, like a 45-minute wait for Chili's. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
What is a mutual love like? The kind of enthusiasm people saw when they looked at Chili's. What's something both of you were just like ridiculously crazy about that other people may not necessarily get?
Nashville.
I like that. I like that came out in synchronicity.
I mean, because it's like that's the first date. You know what I mean? Like the first date, we went to Hard Water. We had a whole bunch of drinks, way too many. Kissed way too early. It didn't touch our food because we couldn't stop talking to each other. And one of those things. And eventually, it came up Nashville. I'm like, oh yeah, she knew I was a fan. I didn't. She's like, I'm a fan. I'm like, she's like, what did you think of the finale? And she started describing events. And I'm like, wait, how do you watch Nashville? And she's like, well, we get it on demand through the. Like, I have great news for you. There is another season of Nashville you have missed.
It was not in Canada.
They hadn't given them season 4 or whatever. She only had seen through season 3.
I had a moment.
It was an amazing moment for me to go check and take her back to the apartment. She got to meet
watch
Portillo.
Nashville?
Yeah, we sat on the couch. I have all these photos of us on the couch after too many drinks, and she's laying on me watching Nashville curled up with the dog, and it's like we've been dating for 10 years,
Yeah.
not like we've been on our first one.
Have either of you ever actually been to Nashville?
Yes.
No,
Okay, you haven't been there
it's
yet.
on the list.
You've been there, Greg? When did you go? What'd you do there?
I went. Well, now I guess it would have been 2 years ago. So I would have gone in 2015. I was going to meet friends to see Mizzou play Vanderbilt.
Oh, okay.
But of course, Nashville, the show was already in full swing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to go early. I went by myself early and I went to the Bluebird, and Charles Eston, but Deacon from the show.
Yeah.
He gave me a tour of the set and I got to see them film, and I got to meet Connie Britton, and I got to see I went to the Bluebird later on. It was amazing.
That's
awesome.
marvelous.
Yeah,
Oh, you guys
yeah,
got to
yeah.
go
I'm so
together.
jealous.
I know now. I tell her all the time we got to get over there.
Is Opryland still open? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I don't remember that being a thing.
Yeah, Opryland, there was, of course you have the Grand Ole Opry and all that, all the the stuff that makes the town famous. But there used to be a little amusement park there called Opryland that I went to when I was a teenager. I wonder if it's still there. I wonder about that too. Also, they have a building that looks like Batman.
Oh.
Yep. I've seen that one. Yeah.
I like the Batman building. It's kind of cool. Yeah, the building looks like Batman. It's really strange.
But yeah, that's what makes it feel natural, I guess. It's just like there was no, I don't know. How would you describe it?
You can't. I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, the way you describe it when you talk to people is every cliche they've ever heard. And I hate that because I remember being on the other side and being like, love at first sight's a weird concept or whatever. But like, it is so easy. And and like all the things people say that I feel like I've known it forever and blah, blah. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
I'm going to paraphrase a smart person I used to know who said that cliches exist because they do. I get that the cliches can be frustrating and you want to find more original terms to express something in. We want to be poetic, not prosaic in life. But sometimes the cliché's there because it's the way things are.
Sure.
Every now and then it's just a darn fairy tale.
Yeah. And it's that thing of like, she's the one for me and I'm the one for her. And we both know that.
And our families were super quick to notice. And like there was no acceptance process. They're like, yep. All right. I've never seen you this happy.
And that was the thing of like, for me coming and meeting her family for the first time who barely speak English, know that we're on this path to me taking her away from them and taking her away from her country and putting, the other side of the country or continent. I expected them to not be like mean, but like to be kind of, and like, no, they've from the moment, been awesome and they've been like amazing and so nice to me and tried to impress me. And it's like, no, I'm trying to impress you idiots. That's how this works. That's how this relationship goes. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
What's it like? What was it like for you visiting Canada when you would go up there? I mean, you've been there many times before, but
I'd never been to Montreal.
You've never been there before,
No,
really?
never been to
I
Montreal,
made an
so,
assumption there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, you'd think so with UB and everything else being up there, but it was always that thing that would be a trip Marty would take or somebody else at Shane would take it.
So the first time you went to Montreal was to see this lovely lady.
Yeah.
What was Montreal like for you? What's different about Canada that struck you odd besides the no right turns in Montreal?
Ooh. I didn't even notice that.
Or it's no right turns on red, right?
Oh yeah, on the
Oh
island.
yeah, I did call that out. I did call that. Okay. Traffic's bad up there.
Yeah.
She would say all the time, "No, it's not. You're just coming at a bad time." And then every other trip, the traffic would be bad.
It's just there's always road construction.
Yeah.
Always road work everywhere.
Yeah. I was, Montreal's a great city. It took a while to grow on me, but part of it was the weather when we first started going up there and stuff like that. And then it was just like, San Francisco's so walkable, you know what I mean? And her place was just far enough from like the main center of downtown that like walking and when the weather was bad wasn't a thing.
Okay.
But getting down there was great. The people are all friendly, you know what I mean? Like I appreciated they speak English and will speak it to you, you know what I mean? But that was the thing of like going out to see her folks who live out in like, the rural area of Quebec or whatever. That she had warned me the further we got from Montreal, the less and less English there would be. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, whatever. And then we got in the car and we were driving out there and we stopped for gas. And it was like, I went in there and I got a cup of coffee and I got whatever and I put it down and she checks me out. And she said something. And I was like, thank you. And she just went, welcome. And you could see all the gears turning. I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting this curveball.
And that was only an hour out, something like that.
Yeah.
Of the city.
I did a wedding for some guests we had on the show a few months ago in Bromont, about an hour outside of Montreal. And it was likewise. There was a lot of French as she got out there. And I don't speak a word of the language. So it was, but fortunately everybody was very kind and polite and generally speaking, just pretty wonderful. What about for you coming here?
I mean, I came to San Francisco a lot for work already, so I knew the city and I have a lot of friends here. What was interesting was the Missouri trip when we went to Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Because I had never been to the Midwest, but having spent quite a good chunk of my life in rural Quebec, I kind of knew what was going on, and that's also something that struck you when you came to visit my parents. Is the landscape is pretty much the same where my parents live and where he not grew up, but went to college.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to meet the folks. And again, they were so nice. So nice. Everybody was so nice. And it was not immediate family. It was,
But they're my adoptive family. Yeah.
But they were, everybody was so fantastic. And I went to my first tailgate.
Oh, your first tailgate.
Yeah.
Please
College
expound.
football tailgate. Hell yeah.
Ooh, everybody is so well organized.
Mizzou and who?
Oh, I don't even remember.
It was Kentucky.
Was it Kentucky?
Missouri,
Yeah, it was
Kentucky?
homecoming. Was it homecoming? Yeah.
So you're playing like the worst team in the SEC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
we're definitely on that list now.
But yeah,
Second
no,
worst.
I was struck by how well organized everybody was. People had TVs with satellite in their tents and American flags at the back of their pickup trucks, but really big flags.
Is it weird
poles.
seeing really big flags? Is that a thing in Canada?
No, we're like everybody's chill about it.
Yeah, when I lived in Japan, that was one of the things that struck me. Was like there are no flags anywhere.
No, it's
ever.
Yeah,
and it was. I think the only place I ever saw a Japanese flag was outside the public library. Like that's the only place I remember seeing one. So that was kind of what's weird about living in America.
The whole situation.
The whole political situation. Yeah, it's you don't have to heave and haw. It's okay. we're not a political show, but we welcome all input from guests. So, I mean, if that's unusual for you, expound.
Yeah. I have so much to learn about the country itself and the way the states work together. From an administrative standpoint, it's entirely different from what's in Canada. So that's one part of everything I need to figure out. Everybody's really nice. Honestly, I've traveled quite a bit to Europe and Australia and Canada and here, and Americans are really nice.
Oh.
There is some obsession around security and stuff. Like, Greg will.
I mean, it's common sense
You
of
walk
locking
the dog
doors.
and you lock the door. You'll be back in 5 minutes.
I lock the door when I leave her alone. That's the thing. If
We're
I'm leaving
in a secured building.
we are in a secure building. If people can get in, you know how things work, Jared. You know how that is. It's not like.
But,
it's not like
So
it's
that's
like,
a different.
It's like Pentagon
expectation.
over here.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
my God! Like when we would leave her apartment in Montreal, we'd walk out and be like, "Are you gonna lock the door?" And she's like, "No, my roommate will be home in 30 minutes." I'm like, "Lock the goddamn door."
Yeah, I never
Are you
locked
kidding
the
me
place
right
in Japan. That's
No,
the thing.
never.
Yeah, never
If
locked
you
the
want to
door.
steal a car, you go in rural Quebec and the keys will be in the ignition.
Just sitting there. It's kind of marvelous. I remember somebody told me a story once living in a little town in New England, not too far from the Canadian border. And they mentioned that in the summer, it was the only time of year you had to lock your car in this little town. The rest of the year, everybody left their car unlocked. And my dad was really surprised when he heard that story. And it's like, oh, is that because the tourists were there? And you had to lock because and it's like, no, people would leave zucchini in your car. And it's like, what? And it's like, well, everybody grows zucchini in the summer. We all grow it at the same time. We all grow way too much. We all get sick of eating it after a couple of weeks. But nobody can stand the thought of it just rotting and throwing it away. So we all try to give it to each other. But everybody grows it in their garden. So in the end, what happens is you sneak up to somebody's car on the street and you leave a big basket of zucchini with a card. So people will lock their car so you won't leave them zucchini.
Oh, that's
awesome.
hilarious.
Kind of a
awesome.
weird story.
That's great.
Greg.
Yeah.
Pockets Full of Soup show about being thankful.
Sure.
About the people that we're thankful for. What about Jen makes you thankful? What are you thankful for from her? What are you thankful to her for?
Sure. I mean, it's love and perspective. You know what I mean? The fact of what we're talking about of like how this feels natural and how we knew this was different and how this, everything is like, I've never been loved and appreciated the way she loves and appreciates me, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I try to do positive reinforcement all the time. When she strokes my hair, does this, and like the texts are just like, I can't. I'm like, I always say these are amazing texts to wake up to, because this was always the thing, right? Is that she would go to bed, and so then I would text her all this nice stuff, and then I would wake up and I'd have all this nice text back. But no one has ever made me feel as not important, but as appreciated, as special. If that makes sense, in my life, as she makes me feel.
Appreciated is a powerful thing. Isn't
Right?
it?
Yeah. And that's the thing of like, no one's ever called me beautiful. You know what I mean? And like, people call you handsome or whatever, but I mean, I've never had a significant other tell me over and over again on that way. You know what I mean? Not to put anybody down or anything else like that.
What's beautiful about him, Jen?
The whole human being he is. Like, there's not 1 ounce of villainy in there. I don't know. No, but we're both super criers, by the way. I'm probably going to cry in this show. No, he always puts himself forward, and he's always looking after others, and he's a very selfless human being. And I mean, just the way he is, he's a beautiful human being that I don't even know how to begin to describe. Like,
When's the moment he's been there for you the most?
oh my God, when I moved countries and a continent, like across the continent, he's constantly supporting me, and through the process, which hasn't always been easy. We had some rocky administrative parts for the immigration process. He's always been a rock. He's never ever. Ooh, thanks for looking through my
I
microphone.
also look out for.
Watch out for the mics. Watch out for everything.
Just saying, as you move your head a little bit. I don't want to do this. Kevin's not here to yell at us.
Yeah, no, that's true. He would have made eye contact with me. Huh?
What does that mean?
No, he there was no pressure on his part doing this gigantic move and life change. Just support always, and making me feel like just reinforcing the idea that it was the best thing that I've ever done. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you most thankful for about him or to him?
He's the half of my being, but in a non-intrusive way. Like I know we're both mutually kind of progressing together. It's not somebody is dependent of the other, and we're not feeding toxicity or any. Like I've had my share of bad relationships, and every time I'm with him, it's just, oh my God, you're beyond anything good I could have expected in my life. You're just mind-blowingly good and patient and nice and sweet and appreciative. And when it's super sad what I'm gonna say, but when we started dating, he's like, man, your bar, because I came out of really bad relationships. He said something that made me laugh. It's like, dude, your bar is so low. And he brought it up there. It's just like,
and it's back to what we're talking about though, right? Of like, she would say these things and I'm like, this is just what human beings that aren't even in love just appreciate each other do or talk to. And this is how you interact with people. Like, that's how natural it is. But like, for her to be like, oh, I can't believe you're saying this or doing that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
and they were not critical self-esteem issues. I have the biggest ego of all times. It's just, I'm so used to human toxicity and just bad reflexes in society. Like, people are afraid of opening up to others or supporting others. So everybody's always super defensive. And with him, it was automatically, hey, no, we're here for each other constantly, and there's no. That's what terrified me when I started dating him. He never held back on anything, and he was an open book, and I thought that was the scariest thing I'd ever seen.
The terrifying. That's interesting. Terrifying because of the openness.
Because he was 100% vulnerable.
Are you finding joy in the discomfort?
It's life-changing.
you're over it now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel
but
like
it took me some time.
No,
to be
sure.
like,
I remember those text messages where I was just like, I don't understand why you would feel this way.
Because I was terrified of hurting you.
Sure. Yeah.
So because
Fascinating.
And there was the trip to Chicago was the one where that was, we had done our first date, then like a week together or whatever, and then she left, and it was a whole, we're not going to be in a long distance thing. We started talking, we're clearly in a long distance thing. And I was like, 4 days in, I'm like, I will fly to you now. You know what I mean? I was just, and she's like, no, you can't do that. Like, we have to, that's crazy. And but it feels right, but it doesn't feel right. And like, it'd be that back and forth in her own head and her own text messages about it. And it was the thing of like, what if we did this trip to Chicago? Okay, we started planning the trip to Chicago. We're going to pick this weekend, blah. And then she just did one. She was just like, I was like literally hovering on the buy button. She's like, don't do it. Like, I don't want to do this and have me tomorrow get cold feet and tell you not to come and us get mad at each other and blah, blah, blah. And I wrote a text message that was, this trip's happening. Like, this is going to really happen. Like, it's going to happen on this weekend. We're going to see each other. And then I screen capped it and then I deleted the text. I'm like, remind me in Chicago to show you my text. And sure enough, when we were there later, I was like, see, like, I knew this was going to happen. I don't understand why you were so worried about it, but it's that you've been burned before in a way that I hadn't been.
Yeah.
What about Jen makes you laugh?
I mean, for me, it's definitely the accent. You know what I mean? It is definitely, like, I have on my phone a list of words she says funny. And she just did one of them there that isn't even on the list. But I love the fact, and I know she's going to lose it. So I try to embrace it every day. But she says, of all times. She pluralizes time and all time, and I love it. I love it so much. And
is time a plural in French?
I don't know. Yes, it is actually. No, it is.
It makes sense.
De tous les temps,
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, times are things that happen over a long period. It's not like one big thing. So that makes sense, actually.
Breaking out the list here.
Okay, let's hear a few others.
We got to hear. I got too many things. Your Jen talks funny. There we go.
Okay.
So I haven't gone through these in a while. Saf, R-E. For safari.
Safari in French.
R-E. Cab Annas for cabanas.
Cabanon in French.
Okay.
Pencil van. Yeah.
Yeah, this one I can't explain.
Pennsylvania.
For Pennsylvania?
For Pennsylvania.
Okay.
This is, now we get into the really good one. Butchard for butchered. Butt chard.
I kind of like butt chard.
Yeah, butt chard's pretty good.
Do you mind saying butt chard? We were talking about butt stuff earlier.
Butchered? Butchered?
You're butchered?
Yeah, butchered. Very good.
And then the best one of all time, of course, is tit anus. What do you think she's trying to say when she says tit anus? I can give it to you in context if you want, but I'll give it away.
I'd love to hear it.
Did you get your tit anus shot?
Okay.
In French, it's tetanus. So I'm like, they have to say the full word too. Why would you put the word anus in there if you're not going to say it?
And then,
That's kind of fantastic.
Jen, would you like to tell the story about the time you rolled into the party with your pussy?
I think we're going to have to hear this one if that's all right.
It was at PS6 2 years ago, and I was with Marty Sleva. And we were going to head to that party later, I think. And I said something, just like a side note, I learned English written first.
Sure.
So pronunciation is the bane of my existence. And I said, yeah, sure, no, it's going to be great. I'm going to roll in with my pussy. And he's like, Jen, I don't think that's what you meant. And I'm like, well, pussy? Well, how'd you say it? He's like, posse.
That's so good.
And I'm like, well, there's an O in there and an E. It's pussy. He's like, no, it's not.
She gets so mad when she says a word wrong.
Thank you for that. I needed that in my life.
She says a word wrong, and then she's like, well, what? You're ignoring all these other letters in it. And I'm like, that's just how we do it.
That's kind of a fantastic thing. So here's your chance for vengeance before we make the hard left turn. What about him? Makes you laugh. This is your chance to embarrass him. I mean, you have plenty of chances to embarrass him publicly, but never in front of this particular audience. So, you know.
Oh my God, he's so loud. But in every sense of the word, like we went on a wine tour in Napa, and I think it was on the second winery.
Second winery?
Yeah. He disappeared to go to the bathroom, and I went after, unrelated. I had to go, and I was waiting outside of the women's bathroom. And I heard some very, very lewd sounds.
So loud in all ways.
I told you, man.
Are we back to butt stuff?
Yeah. What it was she
But
was.
I recognized him, and it made me laugh so.
No, I'll tell you from my perspective what it is.
He has a distinctive bathroom sound?
Well, again, I'm loud in every way. So she's outside the women's room, and she hears this woman tearing it up in there. Just farting around or whatever. And she's like, man, so bad for that woman or whatever. And then she heard the toilet flush and heard the of me blowing my nose. And as soon as I finished blowing my nose, I hear her uproarious laughter in the hallway, unable to breathe. And I open the door and she's just like, it was you. It was you monster. You monster.
And you married him anyway.
Yeah.
It's so great. No, what I find funny about him is that it's this kind of thing where we can just, do and laugh about anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's off limits. It's just.
No, it's lovely. It's beautiful. It's kind of amazing.
My favorite is I'm a loud guy. You know what I mean? So obviously, oftentimes she's told me use your inside voice. Jared, I shit you not. There are times when we're at restaurants or walking around where she'll go, honey, use your inside face. Because my face alone is too loud.
You do have a loud face.
I do.
Let's be fair. Show us your outside face. Show us your inside face.
Even my eyes are too wide on the inside face, though. You know what I mean? Like,
it's because I'm Canadian.
Never play poker.
No, we're super quiet people. We were waiting for the metro in Montreal.
this is gonna be the next story I went to. Yeah.
And the train arrived, and he started yelling, "The trains have wheels, Jen!" And I'm like, "Shh! You just startled this woman."
The trains there, they have bus wheels on them. They look like they could be buses, but they're on the track or whatever.
The trains have wheels?
I was like, baby, that train's got a wheel. It looks like a bus. And she's like, shh, shh, shh. She goes, you're scaring the Canadians.
But is the embarrassment a joy most of the time, or?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not used to it. 100, especially now I am, now that we live together. But when we saw each other once a month, it took a little bit of readjustment every time.
I love this man, but he's a colossally embarrassing human being.
It's
to be around.
amazing.
It's part of the joy.
I love it, and I can't wait to put our kids to shame.
Oh my God, we're gonna destroy them. They have no idea.
But what if they have your combined powers and they outwit you?
Well, that comes though from years of seasoning, and we're gonna season these kids.
Okay, you're gonna teach them. You're gonna train them up.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta train them up here. All right, that's good to know. we're going to make that left turn here to Instant Noodles. But before we do that, I want to thank our Patreon producers, Nick Rie and Robert Nieder, whose generous support makes the show possible. And thanks to all of you who support us on Patreon, everyone who subscribes, those who are part of the Pockets Full of Soup Facebook group, at all, etc. You guys have heard this before. If you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Jared Petty. And we always welcome money. So feel free to. Now we're going to make the kind of quick left turn here out of the main discussion and into the world of Instant Noodles. Silly questions about silly things.
Yeah.
Now, Greg's answered some of these before, but some of them he hasn't. And Jen, you're wide open for these. So.
I'm a blank slate.
All right, you guys ready for silly questions?
Sure.
All right, everybody jump in. Number one, this is my favorite community question still. What is best sandwich? That's the grammar. What is best sandwich?
Ooh, don't say Jimmy John's. Oh,
I'm not going to say Jimmy John's.
I like banh mi's a lot.
You like what?
Banh mi's?
I don't know that.
They're a Vietnamese sandwich. Maybe
Okay. I didn't know what those were called.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Banh mi's. I guess maybe I'm pronouncing
I think it's just my ignorance actually shining through.
Okay.
Describe these for people who haven't had them.
It's like a little pocket of fun. It's like a mini baguette, and then there is usually pork and cabbage and a really tasty sauce in there.
Kind of fantastic. What's your favorite one in the city?
Oh, I need to find one in San Francisco.
Oh, you haven't found one here yet. Okay.
You eating a dinosaur down the street?
Oh,
Yeah,
the
we
one
went
over
there.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't tried there. Do they have banh mi's?
I don't know.
What about you, Miller? This one you didn't answer.
I didn't do
last
this
time.
one.
Yeah, you didn't do this
good.
one.
I was afraid I would contradict myself, which hey, it's the Portillo's Italian beef, hot peppers, mozzarella cheese on there. That's what you got to get.
That is a really good sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
I have had that sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anything Portillo's is kind of fun.
Sure, of course. That's the thing. I didn't want to go down I don't want to argue about our hot dog sandwiches. Dictionary defines they are, but they're not. That's not what
No,
we're
Pockets Full of Soup, we're a non-confrontational program.
Okay.
We're open to all interpretations.
I could have said
of
pizza and
sandwich.
walked away.
You could have. Absolutely could have. I am curious for you as a follow-up, what is the best item on the Portillo's menu?
I mean, it's got to be the hot dog.
Is it the dog?
Yeah,
Is what you're
of course.
going for?
That's what it's all founded on. That's
Okay.
what it's got to be. Yeah.
I love everything I had there, and I think I'd go with the dog too. But
Yeah.
I just wondered where you'd be with that. Favorite flavor ice cream? A lot of these are food related.
What's the word in English? The green one. That's a nut.
Pistachio.
Pistachio. What's the French word for pistachio?
Pistache. I don't know. But
This is the other thing with these French words all the time. It's like, but what is it? Pistachio. I'm like, it's
I'm
pistachio.
always expecting it to be a really weird word in English. And it's never a weird word. So I just resorted to speaking French to him. When I can't figure out a word, I just say it in French.
I usually
Okay.
get there. I usually get
Yeah.
there.
So that leads perfectly into the next question. I'm going to ask, what is your favorite word?
French or English?
Well, you get both. So let's start with French. What is your favorite word in French, your native language?
I never thought of that in French. In English, it's moist.
Moist.
People hate that word so bad.
Well, like they hate to have it said around them? Have you had negative reactions to moist?
Oh, yeah.
Haven't you?
I can't think of any.
Moist
but
is one of those words, people just don't like. You say it
Really?
around them, they'll have a whole
What is it
conniption
about
fit.
moist, do you think?
I guess it's they remember bad situations.
Do you have a
About
moist
emotion.
story?
No.
No? Do you have a moist story?
I mean, I read a lot of erotic fiction, so like I like moist means a lot of good things to me.
Okay, so actually you have a positive connotation.
Exactly.
for it.
Okay,
All
I do.
Who's
Oh,
your
yeah.
favorite erotic fiction writer, Greg?
Oh, no, I don't know. Some internet person. I'm not paying for it.
Oh, okay.
I'm
All right.
interested in this KFC erotic fiction book. You seen this thing?
Okay, what's this? No,
KFC for Mother's Day is putting out a romance novel.
Oh, the one
about-
that Kristen told us to reenact.
Yeah. It's this woman falling in love with the colonel or some shit.
No, I hadn't heard about
Yeah,
this.
I doubt it's erotic, but I mean, it is a romance novel. I definitely need to see it. I think you can pick it up for free offline right now.
Okay, so it's a romance novel, but not actually erotic fiction.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking like what's the thing on Amazon? Moan for Bigfoot.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's one I've heard about recently.
Okay.
But never. Wow. I mean, the Colonel, he's kind of cute. I
Oh,
get
yeah,
that.
totally.
Yeah, totally.
It's got
Plus he's got all
that
that
southern
chicken.
charm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read a Paul Harvey story once where he said that Colonel Sanders actually considered kidnapping his own child at one point in his life when things almost bottomed out. Because he was
To get like a ransom money?
No, because he was having a difficulty in his relationship and things. He just got kind of desperate, and that it again. This is quoting an old Paul Harvey book, so I could be wrong about this. But apparently, like the next day, the relationship reconciled. Like it was kind of like this turning thing in his life. Yeah,
Thank goodness.
So yeah, apparently he failed at almost anything he ever did until he was in his 60s.
Wow.
Like, nothing worked.
He never gave up. That's a good story.
Just kept going, and then he's made pretty good chicken.
Yeah,
I will not turn down some KFC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's something special to it. Get in the bucket.
It's kind of good. You get that buck. And
Those mashed potatoes.
KFC made me the man I am.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
today.
yeah.
That's the problem. What about French word?
I was trying to think of one.
Les enfants terribles.
What's your favorite French word, Miller?
Les enfants terribles.
That's not a word.
No,
That's
you
multiple
like
words.
Saperlipopette.
No, that's not a word either. That's multiple things.
Well, what's close enough? You don't speak the language, so what is it?
Tabernacle.
What's that? What?
It's a curse word in Quebecois.
Tabernacle.
Oh, what's it mean?
Fuck.
It's a tabernacle. Because
Well, the curse part of it is, tabernacle.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
So interesting story. All Quebec curse words are terms you can find in a church, like furniture, items.
Isn't Chalice one?
Interesting. Is it meant to be blasphemy? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there was a huge exodus of people just removing religion from their lives in the 70s because after the war, long story short, the church was very, very present in the families and pushing people to have families of 10, 12. And all those people who grew up under the pressure of the church kind of rebelled.
No kidding. And so
yeah.
the tabernacle became a profanity.
Yeah. Not only that, but chalice is also one. The Christ is also one. The thing you eat is also
Eucharist.
one. Yeah.
That is intriguing. This is particular to French Canada, to Quebec. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely fascinating history.
You
that I
learn
did not
something on
know.
Pockets Full of Soup.
Yeah, you do. You learn a lot on Pockets Full of Soup. That's right. So that's your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the most terrifying creature in the natural world, Jen?
Animal or human or bugs?
Either one's-
Human. A
Animal
very
or human or
specific
bug?
human.
Great question. Animal or human or bugs? Wow, that's the most Starship Trooper like answer ever. That's great.
Oh my gosh.
Any of those you
There's
go.
nothing that I grew up playing in the dirt and catching like small bugs and small birds and just it was a outdoorsy kid, so I'm not afraid of bugs or
Okay.
animals. I hate mascots.
Mascots,
Oh,
like college mascots, pro sports mascots.
Anything that's wearing a suit and I can't see their faces.
Have you ever been to Japan?
That's kind of scaring me. That part.
That's a part of life in Japan. Is the mascots. Miller,
Yeah.
other Miller. So you both got an answer to that now. Look at that. I wonder
Oh,
if that
how
was
do
a
we
test.
differentiate each other?
I know. What's the best button to press?
The X button, the cross button.
The cross button. That's your favorite?
Oh, yeah, come on.
Is that
It
really?
means
that's your favorite
accept. Yeah, of course. It means accept.
one? Well,
here.
it does here.
in
What if
America.
you're overseas?
Then I'd have to hit circle, but you understand that I understand the difference.
I do
And
understand
that
you
PlayStation
understand
cross
the
button, man.
difference.
That's what it's all about. It's been
You're all
around
about that
forever.
X.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that's your favorite one of all time.
Yeah.
That's cool. Does it feel better than the other three around it?
I think it's more use than everything, right? Like it is that definitive default button of what you need to hit all the time.
Yeah,
I feel
it
like
is the PlayStation equivalent of the big red Atari button.
I think
Like,
about how great it felt in like Metal Gear on PlayStation 1 to take like the chapstick and rub it across so you didn't submit and stuff. Like the pride I had in that I wore down the X button and stuff
just
like
like
that.
wear down the edge. What about you?
The submit button on a game when you publish a game.
Oh wow.
That is
It's a good answer.
yeah.
It's a good answer.
But that's my entire career of like releasing a game is just the most exhilarating feeling
That
ever.
sounds amazing. That's a really cool answer. I like both of those a lot. Kevin's peeking around the corner here. Does that? What's that?
Oh,
Kevin's a
we
jerk.
kind of do.
We're nice to Kevin on this show.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There we go. No, that's okay.
Has he been on the show yet?
Huh? No, I keep asking him to come on.
You should do
Kevin.
it.
Recently figured out what I was gonna do.
He recently figured
Yeah.
out what
Okay.
he's doing.
Good. People of the internet, nag Kevin and get him on Pockets Full of Soup, please. We got to make this happen. And now he runs away. What's the first word you think of when you hear the sound of your own voice?
Ugh. Because I mentioned earlier I'm behind. I'm behind the camera usually. I'm not in front of it. So whenever I hear when my devs can't do interviews, I do them. But I'm a fallback person because I write the key messaging and I plan the interviews. So I know everything that's going on. And I used to be a part of the dev team. Now I'm unemployed for temporary period.
Because that's what the government demands.
Yeah, I can't work.
To be clear.
In America.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You have to wait a while?
I need to apply for a work authorization and then wait
so
for
it's
it.
just a
So it's a
whole
forced
process.
vacation. Yeah.
A forced unpaid vacation.
Yeah, which is not. I would never have taken this long off ever, so it's weird. But yeah, it's I never get used to hearing my voice. There are a few interviews out there about the games I launched, and I never go back to watch them. I might not watch this show.
Oh, I hope
No,
you
I
do.
will. I will.
hope you do.
I will.
You're
I
wonderful on it.
I like what this is about.
Yeah.
What's happening.
Being thankful.
Yeah.
Greg, if you could be an animal,
Yeah.
what would you be?
Wiener dog.
That's it?
Yeah,
It's right there.
Come on
Wiener
now.
dog?
I mean, a well taken care of wiener dog, of course.
But that's what you'd rather be than any other. You would actually like to inhabit the life of a wiener dog.
Everyone's always like, I want to be a lion or a bird or something. You know, you got a million problems. Wiener dogs, they don't got no problems. You know, your back's going to get hurt at some point because you're stupid.
What if you're a prehistoric wiener dog?
That's not what that's not what I'm. Don't try to Aladdin genie me here.
No,
all
I'm
right,
just
where you get your wish, but you're a wiener dog in 300
I'm just curious.
BC.
Would you be okay with being a wild wiener dog, or do you want to live the life of domestic?
Now,
wiener
I
dog?
would love to see wild wiener dogs. That is a dream to see
Yeah.
just a pack, a herd of wiener dogs running through a field.
That would be
We kind of got it in the don't bother linking me to the video, the Super Bowl commercial for Heinz ketchup and mustard. I don't remember this, but I mean, I would just to see them out there doing their thing. No, I'd want to be domestic.
You'd want to be
wiener
domestic.
dog,
Okay,
yeah.
domestic wiener dog. That sounds like a good life. What about you, Jen?
Oh, you called me out on it, but I would like to be a bear.
Ooh, it's like a bear. Why a bear?
Just because they sleep and eat all the time.
That's a good life.
But they also have a shitty kind of, environment right now and habitat. So
Yeah, the bears are having a rough time right now in a
Yeah.
lot of places.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
do you like sleeping and eating? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are those the best things in life?
Yeah. But I never do it because I'm a workaholic, except now,
I was
which
gonna say, what time did you get up yesterday?
noon. Yeah, and I stayed in bed all day today. But it's the first time I get to live my bear side. I never experienced this before. I might maul somebody when I maul. What's
Maul,
the word?
both
Yeah.
work, both work.
Okay.
Yeah, Maul is actually really good. So there's a question they ask in Conan the Barbarian. He answers it correctly according to his like king, but somebody says, "What is best in life?" And Conan says, "To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, hear the lamentation of their women." That's Conan's answer. Conan kind of a jerk, but that's his answer. If I say to you, "What is best in life?" and it's three things, and you have to give the Conan
Oh
answer.
my gosh.
I'm curious. What is best in life?
Food,
Food,
people,
people.
Greg Miller.
Greg Miller. Greg?
Games, wings, and love.
Games, wings, and love. He's got a prepackaged answer there.
I
already.
didn't. I just thought it through.
That's beautiful. So that's lovely. Last one, and Greg's already answered this one, so Jen, this is for you.
Street for me.
Cake or pie?
Ooh, ew. I hate making pie crust. Like I bake and I cook a lot.
Oh, you're a baker.
I bake a lot of bread. Pie crust, I leave that to my sister. She's the best. I mess it up constantly. Cakes, I will make them, but I won't eat them because I don't have a sweet tooth.
Okay.
So you present me with both options, I'm gonna be like, probably cake.
Probably
but
cake.
I'm gonna have 2 bites.
You're gonna have 2 bites, and that's gonna be
Yeah.
that. All right. Then pie because you don't want to fool with making it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna eat it and be like, I know how much effort you take, you stupid pie crust.
Yeah, the very fact that you bake, like, I don't believe you because I don't believe any people actually bake because baking is impossible. It's amazing that things are ever baked by anyone.
We'll
it's
invite
like an
you
impossible
over.
Science.
I can teach you how to bake bread.
Really?
It's a really easy recipe.
It's a date. We're going to bake bread together.
Awesome.
I am so up for that. I will show off my bread on Pockets Full of Soup when it's done. That makes me happy. Oh, good. I'm going to make bread. Guys, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about one another and what you're thankful for. Thank you for doing this. Greg, thank you for, launching my career doing this in a couple of places now. Thank you so much for that.
You did it all yourself. Don't worry
Very
about
thankful for it. That's completely untrue. Jen, this is the first day we've ever sat down and
it's
talked, and
crazy.
I'm really happy about it. Thank you for being so willing to make my silly show the first time we meet and to be willing to come on here and just do this.
That's awesome. That's all I've known you about so far. So that's very on brand for you.
Well, thank you. It's kind of you. Guys, if you want to write to us and tell us the stories about the people, the places, the things you're thankful for, that's mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com, mail@pocketsfullofsoup.com. Let us know. And thank you so much for watching, listening, at all, etc. If you've already found love, good for you. If you haven't, these guys give us all hope. So pretty great.
It's us, the Millers.
Yeah, bless both of you, Millers, and to centuries of happiness for both of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.